What would it look like if we plotted the angle versus the sine ratio? As we move the point, the angle changes, and so does the sine ratio. Remember, the sine ratio is the y-coordinate over the radius. So in this case, it's the y-coordinate divided by 1, so it's just the y-coordinate. The angle is 30 degrees. That's right here on this tick mark. Each tick mark is 30, and the sine ratio is 0.5. So the red dot has plotted a point for us. If we keep going, the angle changes. There's a 46-degree angle, which is right about here, and the sine ratio is 0.7, which is right about here. The red dot has plotted a point for us. Let's see what would happen if we let this keep going. As we turn around the circle, the angle gets bigger. So we start with 0 degrees, sine ratio is 0. As we work our way up to 90 degrees, the y-coordinate or sine ratio is 1, and we're showing a sine ratio of 1 on the graph. We then work our way back down as the angle goes to 180 degrees, and the sine ratio is 0 once we get to 180. As we keep increasing the angle, we go around the circle until we get to 270, and then the sine ratio is -1. At that point, as we continue to increase the angle, the sine ratio gets back up to 0, and then if we went around again, we would just repeat the same thing. At some point you were asked to graph y equals x squared. After a while, you just memorize the shape. It looks like that. And then when you were asked to graph y equals x squared plus 4, at some point or another, you realize this just adds 4 to each y value, so it just shifts this up 4 units. We're going to do something similar with the sine function. You've only looked at this once, so you probably have not memorized it yet, but the sine wave looks like this. It repeats itself after 360 degrees. It starts at 0. Its maximum is here at 90 degrees when the ratio is 1. Its minimum is here at 270 when the ratio is -1. So that shape needs to be memorized. Once that's done, though, to graph something like y equals sine x plus 4 is pretty easy. You'll see later that this will be helpful. I'm just going to graph the sine wave. Goes up, back down, boom, and I've got my sine wave. I'm now going to draw a y-axis in. This baseline right here is now going to be at 4. It's still going to go up 1 unit from the middle, so this will be 5, and this will be 3 here. Need a little bit more room. And now I'm going to draw in my x-axis, so 3, 2, 1, 0. This is where the x-axis would be. And this point would be at 180 degrees. This would be at 360. This would be at 90. This would be at 270. And this would be at 90. And I would have my graph. And that's it for graphing.